Yo, what's up epic gamers, my name is Fox and welcome to another video of mine. In this video, I'm gonna give you 5 tips that will immediately improve your Final Fantasy XIV gameplay. You don't really have to do much after watching this video, you just do those things and I can guarantee you, you will be playing better in Final Fantasy XIV. That's not a joke. Also, just a reminder, I basically stream daily on twitch.tv/HiI'mFox, and you can also follow me on Twitter for updates on videos and streams, of course. Now then, let's jump right into it. The number one rule I advise to everyone playing Final Fantasy XIV is definitely to keep your GCD rolling. GCD stands for global cooldown. It's basically things you can only press one at a time. It's not a usual cooldown that you just press once and then it waits for a minute or a bit less, but it's the global cooldown. It's a GCD that you press and then you can't press another one at the same time basically. Now the important thing is to always keep it rolling. Always. You don't want to stop using your GCD ever basically, because the moment you are not pressing a GCD, you are losing DPS or healing depending on what you play. So make sure to really always press your GCD as soon as you can. Don't ever stand there just thinking about what you should press. It's better to just press a button, to be honestly. This especially goes for healers, right? It's better to cast a glare or a broil or another heal instead of just standing there and thinking about what heal should I use, what cooldown should I use, because once you press it, you can then think of what to do basically, right? So again, to sum it up, just keep your GCD rolling as rule number one to improve in Final Fantasy XIV. With that said, then let's move on to the next point which I'm gonna make. This is a bit different because some people are not able to use this because they're playing on console. So if you play on console, I'm sorry for you. But number one thing that helps people improve in Final Fantasy XIV is to use ACT, aka Advanced Combat Tracker. You really want to use this third-party tool in order to improve your performance. The game by itself really does not tell you if you are playing correct or wrong. The game does not have any indicators, nor does it give you any feedback on your rotation or what you are doing. The only thing that does give you feedback is ACT and FF logs at the same time basically. The way it works is that it parses your DPS, you upload it to FF logs and you get a certain number percentile. The lower, the worse basically. So if you plan on improving in Final Fantasy XIV, I highly suggest to use ACT as a tool to improve. You don't need to use the tool to shame other players or to make other players feel bad about the way they play, but it's for your own improvement, which is the most important part about ACT, right? A lot of people seem to think negatively about this program, seem to think it's some form of harassment program, but it is not. It's all about how you use the tool. Another problem is that it is technically seen against the TOS of Square Enix to use this tool, but if you don't use it in a wrong way or in a way to hurt someone, Final Fantasy XIV will not harm you in any way or will not ban your account for using ACT. Just make sure to not talk about it in-game or mention someone's DPS in-game that you read of the ACT tool, right? That's very important. Again though, to sum my point up, use ACT to see how you are performing. Really important point that I can't stress enough. Let's then move on to another point that I see a lot. You need to make a good HUD layout followed by a good button layout for your jobs. I see so many HUD layouts that use mounts and emotes and minions on their HUDs while they are in raid, which is really something you don't need while you are in raid. You can't even summon these things while you are in raid, right? So I suggest personally to make yourself a layout for when you are raiding and the layout outside of raiding, because a lot of things, as I said before, cannot be used during raid, so you don't want to see them in raid on your HUD. They're basically just something that is obstructing your view field, right? There's nothing that is useful in having your minions displayed while you are doing, for example, Titan, right? So again, make yourself 2 separate HUD layouts for inside of raid and outside of raid. Furthermore, your button layout is very important. It is really important that the buttons you use are very easily reachable for your hands if you are playing on keyboard and mouse, for example. Try to not click your buttons with your mouse because that's actually gonna hinder your performance by a lot. Yes, there are people that clear ultimates by clicking skills, but they're not the majority. You wanna get used to using your keyboard buttons and using different modifiers in order to make it easier for you to press your buttons on time without much thinking, right? So again, make sure to use buttons that are easily reachable for you and that you can use without a problem. I also have a video on this on my channel if you want to go more in depth about this topic. If you play on controller, that's of course a different story, but that's totally fine. There's a lot of very high-end players that play on controller and that are doing absolutely amazing. So don't think you're playing worse if you're on controller or anything, or it's holding you back, because you can also play very well on controller. But the same applies again. Make sure your button layout is good. So to sum up again, your HUD layout plus button layout need to be good in order to be used effectively by you, the player, to improve your gameplay. My next point again will be for only PC players, because I don't think you can use a VPN on a console. But here it goes. If you play on PC, use a VPN. There's no reason not to use a VPN. Yes, some do cost, so you might be investing some money, but they can also be very cheap or even some free if I'm not wrong. Right, so again, a VPN, what it does is basically it makes your connection better by giving it a different routing. So if you have a really bad routing towards the Final Fantasy XIV servers, a VPN is maybe able to fix your ping issues, lag issues, clip issues, whatever there is. A really good ping is able to actually provide you with better gameplay and better parsers depending on what jobs you play, because there are a lot of jobs that actually need decent ping to really perform at the highest level. So even if you're just playing for more casual content, a VPN can make a difference in dodging AoEs and getting hit by AoEs also, due to packet loss and the way the server ticks in Final Fantasy XIV work. So I really suggest using a VPN, and since we're on the topic, you should check out exitlag.com. They are very good. I use it myself personally too, and I actually noticed the difference. I usually never use the VPN because the difference was just not noticeable. But with ExitLag, I actually was able to notice the difference in rates and actually improve my performance even a bit more, to be honest. So give ExitLag a try if you are unsure what to try out. I will even give you here a clip of an example of where good ping can dominate over bad ping. In this clip, I should have technically seen die due to getting clipped by the blue, but I managed to somehow be in the stack while also not getting hit by blue and not killing the person with the yellow marker, right? You need to understand how this mechanic works to understand what happened here, but this is a prime example of what a good ping can achieve in Final Fantasy XIV, even if it seems a bit weird. Anyway, to sum up what I just said, use a VPN, try it out. You will probably notice a difference. If not, then just don't use one. Lastly comes probably one of the most obvious ones, which is still not done by a lot of people, or I don't see to be done by a lot of people, which is just simply read your tooltips. Read what they do. Take 2-3 minutes and read what every button in your job does. Maybe you missed something when you leveled the job, maybe you didn't understand something, maybe some skills got upgrades while you were leveling a job. Some jobs have several traits that will upgrade certain skills to a different level, or that they do something different that then can be used differently, etc. So really, I cannot stress this enough, honestly. Just read your tooltips and make sure that you understand what they do. This, of course, can be extended to reading an opener and learning the opener, because most jobs actually are tied towards their opener, which in following basically allows you to execute a rotation very easily because you learned the opener. So all in all, just read your tooltips, and if you want to learn more about your job, read the opener at least. You don't necessarily need to learn a rotation, but just read the opener, which will help you drastically improve on the gameplay of your job. I can guarantee you that 100%. But again, to sum up, read your tooltips, know what every skill does. This is very important, especially for healers, due to having different healing cooldowns and how they work in the game. So yeah, really make sure to read your tooltips. And that was basically it. That was the 5 tips I can give you to instantly improve in Final Fantasy XIV. They are all honestly very useful and very easily overlooked, to be honest, but if you do all these 5 things properly, I can definitely guarantee you, you will become a better player in no time, honestly. Now, if you guys have any more questions or feedback, or maybe other tips that people could do instantly to improve in Final Fantasy XIV, don't be shy to leave them in the comments, right? And again, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you guys learned something today, and I will then, I guess, see you around, boys. Alright, have a good one.